The sun was barely cresting the horizon, painting my ranch in hues of gold, when I settled onto the porch with a steaming mug of coffee. The air was crisp, the kind of morning that promised peace until a mud-splattered ATV tore across my private pasture, kicking up dirt and nearly clipping my prized goat, Betsy. My mug hit the deck, coffee pooling at my feet as I blinked in disbelief. There, blonde ponytail bouncing, designer sunglasses glinting, was Linda. She roared through my land with the arrogance of someone who owned it, blasting pop music so loud it sent my chickens into a feathered frenzy. Dust and cow dung swirled in her wake, and she didn't so much as glance my way. By her third lap, my livestock had bolted for the barn, my dog cowered under the truck, and I knew this wasn't a one-off mistake. This was war. I'd bought this ranch to escape the clamor of city life, the petty rules of HOAs, the endless noise of people like Linda. My property backed up to a ritzy, suburban development, where most folks kept their distance. But Linda wasn't just a neighbor. She was the self-proclaimed HOA president, a one-woman dictator who treated the world like her personal fiefdom. When she discovered the dirt trail behind her backyard trail, she decided it was hers to conquer. No knock on my door, no courtesy call. She just claimed it. That first day, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she was clueless. So, I strolled to her property, knocked politely, and introduced myself. She cracked the door, eyeing me like I was peddling junk. I explained the trail was private, not open to ATVs. Her lips curled into a smirk. "That trail's more useful to me than you," she said. "My ATV needs space, and your cows can deal." Then she slammed the door. I stood there, jaw slack, processing the audacity. By the weekend, she escalated. 2 more ATVs joined her, tearing through my trail like it was a motocross track. They spooked my animals, toppled a feeder, trashed part of my irrigation system, and snapped a gatepost. I put up a sign, "Private property. No ATV access. Violators prosecuted." The next morning, it was flattened under tire tracks, next to an empty smoothie cup and a half-eaten wrap. Linda had turned my land into her personal playground. I documented everything: trail cams, timestamps, damage. I sent a cease and desist letter and contacted the HOA. Their response: a letter, signed by Linda, claiming the trail was a shared recreational corridor and demanding I remove my dangerous animals. My pigs, who laze unless there's fruit nearby, and my cows, who sleep through storms, were suddenly public enemies. I laughed, but the absurdity stung. I tried a steel-reinforced wooden gate. It lasted 2 days. I found it smashed, hinges bent, tire marks cutting through fresh hay. Next to the wreckage, a glittery blue hair clip Linda's calling card. That's when something in me snapped. I'd been polite. I'd been reasonable. But as any rancher knows, sometimes you fight fire with filth. And I had plenty of that. Late into the night, I reworked the trail. I rerouted it through the pig pen, the muddiest, stinkiest corner of my ranch, a place my cousins dubbed the funk pit. The pigs loved it, humans didn't. I smoothed the path, added reflectors to make it look inviting, and hid the stench under camouflage. I tossed melon rinds near a curve to draw the pigs, watered the path with slop, and reinforced the rest of the trail's fencing so Linda had no choice but to follow my trap. I left the old signs up, knowing she'd ignore them. Linda didn't just trespass, she reveled in outsmarting me. All I had to do was bait her. 2 days later, her ATV's roar announced her return. She'd brought a friend, HOA board member Carl, a guy who thought boat shoes made him rugged. I watched from the barn, coffee in hand, as their tires hit the sludge. The squeals were instant Linda's, not the pigs'. Their ATVs sank into the muck, engines whining. The pigs, thrilled by the melon, charged over. Carl's tire became a chew toy for a hog named Brutus. Linda dropped her phone in the slop, shrieking like she'd been ambushed. They were stuck, wheels spinning, pride sinking. I sipped my coffee, grinning. No morning had ever been sweeter. But Linda wasn't done. 2 days of silence followed. Then she returned with a vengeance. For ATVs this time, Linda leading the charge, her ponytail whipping like a battle flag. She'd recruited more HOA cronies. One sporting a GoPro like this was an extreme sports shoot. They wore matching pink flags with the HOA logo, a cavalry of entitlement. She'd even posted on the HOA's social page, spinning her pigsty disaster into a tale of pioneering spirit. She called it a new community trail, inviting weekly rides. It was delusional and dangerous. That evening, a new HOA letter arrived, accusing me of negligent livestock containment and unauthorized barriers. It ended with a fine, signed by Linda. I laughed, but the gall burned. I called Deputy Mark, a friend from rodeo days. He read the letter and chuckled, but warned me. The HOA's vague wording was clever. They weren't claiming ownership, they were framing me as a bad neighbor. He suggested I either lawyer up or let them dig their own grave. I chose the latter. I redesigned the trail again, laying fresh hay to lure them from the pigsty route. Beyond it, I dug a shallow trench, filled it with fertilizer, and covered it with netting. I added a fake checkpoint with a sign, Linda's VIP Lane. Enter at own risk. Brutus, now wearing a bell collar, had taken to patrolling the trail, associating ATVs with snacks. I fed the pigs randomly along the path, turning them into a chaotic, welcoming committee. The next Saturday, Linda's HOA Trail Parade arrived 7 riders, including kids, in matching Trailblazers shirts. A drone buzzed overhead, capturing their chaos. They cheered, hooped, and waved at my cameras like celebrities. Then they hit the trench. Linda cleared it, but the next rider, a cocky teen, nosedived into the muck, flipping over the handlebars. The stench hit like a wall. Gagging ensued. Brutus led the pigs in, bell jingling, scattering the group. A woman rolled her ATV into slop. The drone crashed into a feed bucket, splattering its operator. Linda tried to rally them, yelling about rustic charm, but her crew was done. I strolled over, wiping my hands, and pointed to the sign. Warning, active livestock area. I nodded at the cameras, the drone, the tire tracks. All recorded. Linda, dripping mud, screamed about sabotage. She slipped again, knee-deep in Brutus's wallow, and stormed off, vowing legal action. That night, her HOA post was grim, no photos, just rants about environmental hazards. The comments turned on her. Neighbors questioned the HOA's authority, the flags, the shirts. Someone leaked drone footage of Linda trespassing. Her empire was cracking. The video went viral. A teen from the ride posted it online, captioned, HOA Gone Wild. Brutus's bell became a meme, remixed into songs. Linda doubled down, forming an investigation committee herself and issuing new rules requiring HOA approval for ATVs or livestock events. It was absurd, but her loyalists still backed her. Others rebelled, demanding answers about HOA funds and jurisdiction. Then came the lawsuit. At 6 a.m., a courier delivered a legal notice. Linda was suing for $50,000, claiming I'd trapped her, weaponized my pigs, and humiliated her. She demanded trail access. I forwarded it to my lawyer, Sarah, who grinned at the evidence cameras, surveys, HOA bylaws proving the trail was mine. This, she said, is a gift. The hearing was a spectacle. Reporters, a podcaster, even the local vet, Tom, showed up, wearing a hog justice hat. Linda arrived in black, hauling files, avoiding the gallery where someone wore a Brutus t-shirt. Judge Ellen Harper, a no-nonsense horse lover, smirked at the pig footage. Linda's lawyer, Greg Vance, rambled about her trauma. Ellen cut him off. That pig's charming. Sarah presented the evidence photos, maps, bylaws. When Linda claimed I'd lured her, Ellen snapped. That's like blaming a homeowner for your burglary. The room erupted. Linda's case collapsed. Ellen dismissed it, ordered her to pay my fees, and banned her from my land. Outside, reporters swarmed. Linda fled, coat over her head. The HOA imploded. Members resigned. Emails leaked showing Linda's misuse of funds. An audit began. The community threw a barbecue, with Brutus-themed cupcakes and a mechanical bull. Neighbors shared stories of Linda's tyranny, fines for blinds, gnomes, wreaths. The air felt free. Weeks later, Linda vanished. Some said she moved. Others saw her skulking at night. The new HOA president, Maria, apologized and funded a new fence. The neighborhood healed, wind chimes sang. Doors turned bright. My ranch was quiet again, Brutus napping in the mud. A group of residents gifted me a sign, Trail Boss Ranch, with Brutus carved in the corner. I hung it by the gate. Linda's final letter arrived, claiming she was leaving due to harassment. I tossed it in the compost. The trail was mine, the pigs were happy, and Brutus, bell jingling, stood guard. No one would cross that line again, not while we were watching.